What's poppin', homies? It's your favorite homegirl gossip girl. Let's get into this commentary. What's poppin', homies? It's your favorite homegirl gossip girl, and today I have some news about the Stevie Bates case. Now, she was the young lady that went missing in April of 2012 during the Occupy Wall Street protest. She was one of the protesters. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. Now, the human remains found at a New York City construction site in 2020 is ID'd as missing woman Stevie Bates. Now, the skeletal remains that was discovered at a Queens construction site nearly 2 years ago have been identified as those of a woman who's been missing for a decade, police said on Friday. Now, the remains of Stevie Bates were found wrapped in a blanket during an excavation at 80-97 Cypress Avenue in Glendale on September 18th of 2020. Now, the excavation site is right across the street from Mount Judah Cemetery and not far from at least 7 more graveyards. Now, I know that area very well, and I don't fool around over there. First of all, it's nothing for me to be over there for. Second of all, I do love, Halloween and all things spookiness, but I don't fool with no one's graveyard. I let the dead rest peacefully, and they let me rest peacefully, so I don't go over there. That's one thing I do not play with is a graveyard, because my mother told me you never supposed to point at a graveyard. So I don't know how many people grew up with that. Did your mom tell you that as well? Because we used to ride the J train, and every time we, passed that grave site over there, I used to point. She said, it's bad luck to point at a graveyard. So I just never did it. I stopped. But I wonder why is it bad luck? But anyway, Stevie Bates, an Occupy Wall Street protester, was first reported missing in April of 2012 after she vanished during a cross-country trip when she was just 19 years old. Now, on April 27th of that year, she borrowed a cell phone to call her mother, Vivian, while on a Greyhound bus layover in Pittsburgh. Now, Bates told her mother from Yonkers that she will be arriving in New York City around 5:40 a.m. the next morning. Now, the surveillance footage showed the 5'6", 120-pound teenager with dyed blonde locks boarding a bus in Pittsburgh, whose first stop was in Philadelphia. When reached by phone early Saturday morning, Bates' mother declined to comment on the tragic update. Police said the identification of Bates was reported to them Friday by the city's medical examiner. Stevie Bates' cause of death has not yet been confirmed as police continue to investigate. And they also were trying to investigate to see if it was a fatal overdose or foul play. Listen, I think it was foul play. I'm guarantee you this is foul play. She's not going to get in a blanket and roll herself in a blanket and bury her own self. Somebody did this to this young lady. And I really do hope her family gets justice, because this has foul play written all over it. I guarantee you it's foul play. But we need to find, I hope they gather up some evidence of who could have done this to Stevie. All right, so now we have to get justice for Stevie Bates. So please, you guys, just, in the comment section, show her family some love. Offer your prayers and condolences, hearts and prayer hands, because they're going to need it, especially her mother. Who wants to get a phone call and says, hello, I know your daughter went missing April 2012. We have skeletal remains, and the remains is confirmed to be Stevie Bates. Who wants to hear that? No mother wants to hear about their child being dead or skeletal remains found on the other end of the phone. So she's going through a lot. I don't know her pain, because that hasn't happened. I mean, I had someone call me about a family member being murdered, but that's totally different when it's your child. It's a different feeling. So I want to send my prayers and condolences to the Bates family as well. but I'm still going to keep you guys updated on this case, all right? Okay, so now moving on. Here we have Mr. James Tim Norman. He is just a hot mess. I just don't understand Tim. I really don't. He is found guilty on all charges in the murder for hire trial. And I know Andre's family is happy. But you know, my heart goes out to Miss Robbie because she had a lot of loss. She lost her oldest son, which is Tim's brother, right? She lost him, and I do believe he was murdered. Then she lost her grandson, who was her oldest son, son, and that's her grandson. So then she lost her grandson, and now she's basically losing Tim because Tim is going to be in jail, and he's found guilty of all these charges. So how Miss Robbie feeling right now? She got to be going through it, because she's lost everything all the way around. I know her sisters are going to be there for her, and I'm pretty sure everybody has a way of feeling right now. But Tim, I just don't understand why he would do this. Why would Tim do this? It's beyond me. And people said he did it for, the greed got the best of him. Because I remember watching Welcome to Sweetie Pies. Man, he was opening shops left and right. And at some point, Miss Robbie had to stop him. She had to take him to court and stop him from opening up all these shops. But you take out a life insurance policy on your nephew. And then you had him murdered. Wow. I would just never get over that. That just really crazy. So let's get into it. A jury found James Tim Norman guilty on Friday of conspiring to kill his nephew, ending a St. Louis trial full of reality TV stars, life insurance schemes, and cash payouts that's captured national attention for the past 2 weeks. Now, in the end, the jury found that Norman, who's 43 years old, orchestrated the murder of his 21-year-old nephew, Andre Montgomery, then attempted to cash out up to $450,000 in a fraudulent life insurance policy he took out on Montgomery. The two both starred in Welcome to Sweetie Pies, a long-running reality show about the popular soul food business founded by Miss Robbie Montgomery, and that is Tim Norman's mother and Andre's grandmother in the St. Louis area. Now, jurors deliberated for more than 17 hours over 3 days before finding Norman guilty on 2 federal murder for hire counts and 1 charge of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. My goodness. Sorry for that little, trip over with the word. Sometimes it happens. And I'm not going to take it out because it is a mistake. But we're going to get through it. Norman held a blank expression as the verdict was read to a courtroom packed with family and friends on both sides of the case. His supporters surrounded his mother right outside the courtroom, sobbing audibly. The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Missouri, Sailor Fleming, said motive for the murder plot came down to one thing: Norman's greed. Kaylin Griggs remembers her brother Andre Montgomery, murder victim in the Sweetie Pies murder for hire trial on September 16, 2022. That's a Friday. A St. Louis jury found former St. Louis reality star TV James Tim Norman guilty of conspiring to kill his 21-year-old nephew, Andre Montgomery. And the family, Andre's family, is getting justice. And they're wearing shirts for Justice for Our Dre. Now, while the evidence was overwhelming, Fleming said Norman's plan was relatively straightforward. Caitlin Griggs, Montgomery's sister, stood with her family in Justice for Andre t-shirts on the courthouse steps after the verdict, calling Norman a monster who her brother feared in the weeks before his death. The lesson is, I don't care how much money a person got, Griggs said, you cannot underestimate their greed. Evidence during the trial showed Norman paid $10,000 to an exotic dancer, Terica Ellis, to track his nephew's location. Norman then used a friend to pay $5,000 to the shooter, Travell Anthony Hill, after Hill killed Montgomery. Both Ellis and Hill testified for the prosecution. Norman's defense team made the rare decision in a criminal trial to have Norman testify on his behalf, telling jurors he was a mentor to his nephew who never wanted to harm him. But if you never want to harm your nephew, why did you hire people to do these things to him? Why would you hire somebody to murder your own nephew? Norman broke into tears during more than 4 hours of testimony, telling the jury he enlisted Ellis and Hill to find his nephew, but not kill him. He said he wanted to confront Montgomery about a recent burglary at his mother's home. I'm extraordinarily surprised and disappointed, said Norman's defense attorney, Mike Leonard, on Friday. I really thought this was a case where the prosecution didn't meet the burden of proof. Leonard said Norman plans to appeal the verdict. 2 witnesses asserted their Fifth Amendment right to not testify, hurting the defense, Leonard argued. The first was Wael Yagnon, the life insurance agent who worked with Norman to set up Andre Montgomery's policy. Now, Wael pleaded guilty this summer to a wire fraud charge. The second was a friend of Norman's who prosecutors say told the shooter, Hill, Norman would pay to have Montgomery killed. Now, Andre's sister, Caitlin, said Andre knew he would be in danger if he went to St. Louis where he was killed. He told her just before he left, she said, I'm going to be one of God's soldiers. That is just so sad. That is so sad. But you could tell on the show that Tim kept bothering him, all the time. And I don't know, maybe Tim was kind of jealous of Andre Montgomery. And even if that was the case, you don't have the right to sit there and hire someone to murder your own nephew. You're talking about you want somebody to find him, but you're paying people to harm him. That doesn't make sense. And I feel bad for Miss Robbie and all of this. And speaking of Miss Robbie, I read in the article that she was suing 2 YouTubers for false information that was put out, saying that she was part of the murder for hire. Well, I'm not going to say part, but she knew about it. And Miss Robbie was not having that. She wasn't having that. Okay? Let me tell y'all something. I'm not going to just, jeopardize my channel for false information. If I don't have it in front of me, if it's not a legal document, or if it's not proof that that was going on, all you could have said was allegedly. And then follow up with, I don't think it's true, but this is what's out here. These celebrities are not playing with YouTubers anymore. They are watching everything you say, especially if it's about them. They are watching. Their families are watching, because they're going to send that person who you're talking about the link. Okay? This person is talking about you. Hear what they have to say. If you work hard for your channel, don't mess it up by putting out false stuff. Yes, we all want a trending story. We all want to talk about something that's trending, but you got to be careful out there. You have to be careful what you put out there. You just can't put out stuff saying this person is this, and for a fact, but you have nothing to back it up. So that's why when I take things off the internet, I say the source where I get it from, I said this is online. I got it from this place and that place and the third. Because if you want to come after me, you're going to have to go after them too, because they put it out there. It's like we all know how these articles in the news can get things all wrong and messed up, or messed up and twisted. We know how that can go. But I think that the YouTubers did take down the videos that they made about that situation, which is good. You don't want, you work hard for your channel. You don't want something like that to mess up your channel. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, guys, I just feel so bad for Miss Robbie because she is in a really bad situation. She loved Andre. She really did. She loved Andre. That was her son's child. And she was just trying to make sure he had a better life and that he was going to school. He was doing what he had to do. And you could tell Andre was her heart. Just like she loves Tim child. But Miss Robbie lost her son. She lost Andre. And now basically she lost Tim. Because he's going to jail for a long time. And she's his mother. She's Tim's mother. She is Andre's grandmother. She is her, she's her other son's mother. So it's like, this lady is going through a lot. And I know she, sympathize and have a lot of love for Andre's mother and her family. But this is a crazy situation. This is crazy. Tim just don't know how much he is putting his family through. He just don't know. But you know what? I'm so glad that Andre's mom and the rest of his family are getting justice. I am happy about that. He deserves justice. He didn't deserve this. He deserved to go, finish school and get a job and live life, not to be hunted down and looked for and then murdered. If you wanted to confront him about it, you knew how to get in contact with Andre. You could have asked him, yo, Andre, what's about this burglary going on? Did you have anything to go do with it? And how do we know Tim ain't had nothing to do with it? I'm not saying he did, but how do we know he ain't had nothing to do with it? Anyway, so that is that. Well, you guys, that's all I have. I'm trying to catch up on some of this stuff that I was, slacking on. And I hope you guys have a great day. And like I said, please leave your prayers and hearts and condolences for Stevie Bates' family. And also, justice for Andre. And it seems like he's getting justice. Okay, so just also pray for Miss Robbie. Okay, she's going to need it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.